I bet you did not know you can do this. I want to show you something quickly. This is how I was able to create a pattern for myself, a very simple pattern using an old fitted top. So this video here is how I went from this to this. Now wait. Don't get confused. Okay, so what I did is I created a pattern for myself using an old fitted top, and now I use that same pattern to create a new top for myself. And yes, girl, down to the sleeves. On this video here, I will be showing you all the process that I had to follow, very quick and easy. Okay, in less than 30 minutes I was done. So I want to show you guys all the process that I had to follow in creating a pattern for myself using an old fitted top. And trust me, this particular process goes anyway. You can use a dress to do this, you can use a skirt to do this. All you have to do is grab you your old clothes and follow this process that I have laid down for you. And trust me, you're going to be having this pattern at your disposal anytime, any day, to create any simple outfit of your choice. So you can be able to create this top, this top, this top, this top, even this my top here. Okay, so I created a video of how I use the same pattern to create this top, and that video is going to be coming next. Okay, so please let me know in the comment section if you're able to follow this process and if it was easy for you, because girl, I took my time to make this video so you can be able to understand even the steps. I had to lay them down easy and simple for you to understand them. You don't even have to have any basic knowledge about sewing. All you have to do is just follow the steps, just the easy way I've laid them down. In no time, you're going to be having your own pattern at your disposal to create anything of your choice, any simple thing of your choice. Okay, the keyword is any simple thing of your choice. If along the line you find this video very interesting and you start having this urge to learn how to sew, I got you, girl. There is a playlist that I've created for you to follow. It is called Teach Yourself How to Sew. Okay, so this playlist is a simple process of how you can know how to sew on your own, just watching my videos. Okay, so the link is in the description box below. And without no further ado, let's hurry up and see the simple step that I have laid, or the simple step that I had to follow to create a simple pattern for myself using an old fitted top. Let's go into the video. For you to have a successful project, here are all the items that you will need. Number one, get your fitted top. Let me show you how fitted the top needs to be. Do not use a top like this. Okay, this is too fitted and too tight. It is tight around the armhole, it is tight on the sleeves, and it is tight on the side. Now, using a top like this to create a pattern is going to give you a pattern that is 2 size or 3 size lesser than your actual size. Now, also do not use something that looks like this. This is a no. This is too big, it's oversized. The sleeves is oversized, the armhole, the length, everything about this top is oversized. And if you use something like this, you're going to be getting a pattern that is 2 to 3 size bigger than your actual size. So resist from this temptation. When grabbing a top from your wardrobe, please grab something that looks exactly like this. Okay, this is the perfect fit. You can see that the armhole is not too tight and it is not too loose, and you can see that the sides, everything about this top is just fitted and nothing is too tight and nothing is too loose. Okay, so make sure whatever you're grabbing from your wardrobe looks exactly like this. So this is the winner, and this is what I'll be using to create my own pattern. Let's move over to the rest of the materials. Okay, so these are the rest of the materials or items that you need to have before you start creating your project. Make sure you have a pattern paper, marker, scissors, tape, your pins, and your rulers. Now let me tell you something. It is not like all these materials are actually really important, but then some of them are, not all. So just make sure you have at least a few of them. And also note this: do not be restricted by the pattern paper. Okay, do not restrict yourself because of the pattern paper I used. You can use any of these to create your pattern. You can use a newspaper, you can use gift wrapper, you can even use a book. Okay, do not restrict yourself because of you don't have pattern paper. Okay, so go ahead and grab your pattern or your paper and also the fitted top, and let's create this pattern. Now the first thing I'm going to show you guys is the top I'm using. Of course you already know. And now what I'm using as my pattern paper is a cardboard paper I bought for 100 naira. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is fold my top into 2 equal parts, and I will show you how. So this is the top. I'm just going to lay it down flat on my table, and I'm doing this on top of the cardboard paper, which is my pattern paper. So I'm going to be folding this top into 2 equal parts, okay? And I'm not going to be using the front neckline because it is too deep. So I'm going to be folding from the back neckline. So if you have that issue, if your front neckline is too deep on your fitted top, you can fold from the back neckline. And that is what I'm about to do. So once you have your top folded into 2 equal parts, make sure that where you have all the fabrics on the top closed edge, not from this part, this is open, from where you have the closed edge, make sure that that part sits on the edge of your pattern paper here. Okay, so I'm just going to move my own top to that edge of the pattern paper here. So make sure it sits at the beginning of the edge of the pattern paper, allowing the top to sit where you can have allowance on the top of the pattern and on the sides, because we are going to be adding allowance to this pattern, so we need those extra patterns on the top and on the side. So the next thing obviously is for me to pin this. Now, like I said, not all the materials were necessary. Now these pins, if you don't have a pin, you can use heavy objects and place on it. Okay, you don't necessarily need a pin. The next thing I'm going to do is fold in the sleeves. Now here is where we have the sleeves connected to the armhole. I'm going to fold that in like this. You see what I did? I folded it in from where we have the armhole and the sleeves seam. Okay, the seam where we join the sleeves to the armhole. I folded it in so I can get the actual armhole for my pattern. I am going to be creating the sleeves, but that is going to be a different pattern. So right now I'm just going to fold in the sleeves so I can trace out my armhole. So now that I have everything pinned and everything is seated well, I'm just going to start tracing, and this is where I'll start from. I'm going to start from the neckline, and I'm using my black marker for this. So you see the way I just arranged the neckline. So I'm going to start from the neckline and then to the shoulder, the armhole, the sides here. So gradually do this. I'm even labeling everything out for you to see, so that along the line you can just start becoming interested in learning how to sew. Okay, I want you to be interested. It is very easy. So I'm tracing the shoulder now. Here is the shoulder, and then I'll move that to the armhole, and I am doing this gradually. Okay, so you're trying to trace to get a pattern for yourself. You don't need to hurry it. Okay, it's your pattern, do not hurry it. And now I'm tracing the side, and this side here is where the bust and the waist sits. Okay, so once I have that done, I'm just going to take off my pins so I can adjust my pattern. And once I take these pins off and I take off my top, you're going to see that I have my pattern already created. All we have to do now is adjust. And for the adjusting, you just need to make the lines clearer. Okay, so I'm going to take my marker and I'll make the neckline clearer. I'll move that to the shoulder, and then I'll move down to the armhole. So this is the shoulder here. I'm just trying to make sure that the lines are clearer. So because I don't want this pattern to be too long, I want it to be like a crop pattern for myself. I'm going to be marking the new length for my pattern, and to do this I'm going to place my tape here on the high shoulder. Where the arrow is pointing and where my finger is pointing is the high shoulder on this part. This is the shoulder, and where my tape is sitting exactly is the high shoulder. I'm going to place my tape there, and I'll mark the new length for my pattern. And the new length that I'll be using for my pattern is 17 inches. Now let's go ahead and add the pattern allowances I talked about. Okay, so once you have your fitted top traced on your pattern, you have to add allowances on this, because when you want to place a pattern on a fabric to sew, you need to have that extra allowances to sew. Okay, so I'll be placing these allowances on the shoulder, on the armhole, on the side. Now on the neckline and on the shoulder, I'll be adding the total amount of 0.5 inch as my allowance. But then on the sides, I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch for the allowance. Now why I'm adding 1.5 inch? Because I want this pattern to be a free pattern, something that whenever I want to sew, whatever I want to sew, it is going to be free on me and not too fitted. So I'm going to start from the neckline and I'm adding 0.5 inch. So watch exactly what I'm doing. I'm just adding 0.5 inch. Go ahead and mark 0.5 inch on your shoulder and on your neckline. I'm going to also mark 0.5 inch on the armhole as my allowance. And yeah, that's what I'm adding on the armhole, just the same way I added for the neckline and the shoulder, which is 0.5 inch all the way. And on the side here, I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch. Now you don't necessarily need to add the same 1.5 like me. You can add 1 inch and you're good, but I want 1.5 because I has already explained why I want this pattern to be free on me. Okay, so I want this pattern to be a free pattern, and that is why I'm adding so much allowance to the side, and this is happening only just on the sides. And the next step I'm going to do is cut. So I have successfully used an old cloth to create my pattern, and this pattern here is going to be labeled as the back pattern for the pattern, the general pattern. Like this is going to be the back pattern, but I'm going to be using this same pattern to create a front pattern, and I'll be showing you guys how easy it was for me to do that. Okay, so as for now, just go ahead and cut out your pattern. You have successfully created a back pattern for yourself. And if you were able to fold your top from the front side, you have successfully created your front pattern. And just go ahead and repeat what I did here again for your back, making sure that your back neckline is shorter, okay, not as deep as your front neckline. So like you can see me do here, I'm labeling this as the back pattern, and let's create the front pattern. Now for the front pattern, is going to be an easy task. All we have to do is get the new paper that we're using, and I'm going to be using my same cardboard paper as the paper for my front. And all I have to do is place my back pattern on that cardboard paper again, making sure that all sides sit the same. Okay, the front edge of my back pattern sits on the edge of the new pattern, and I'm just going to start tracing from the shoulder, not the neckline. I am tracing from the high shoulder, and I will trace to the armhole. If you're not so sure that you can trace this without pinning it down, make sure you pin it down before you start tracing. So right now I am tracing the sides, and I'm also going to trace the length, because the front and the back length is always equal. The armhole can be different sometimes, but it does not matter. What we're creating is a free pattern that we can use to create free tops and simple tops for ourselves. So to be able to create your front neckline, if you were able to create the back before the front, let me show you what you need to do. Now on your back neckline, all you have to do is mark 2 inches or 3 inches down at this edge here. Okay, make sure you mark 2 inches or 3 inches down, and now you can take off your back pattern and use your curve ruler or your freehand to connect the high shoulder to that point, and that is it. Your front pattern is created. Now, how easy was this? Okay, this was really easy. Like, I feel like anybody can be able to do this, even without listening to what I'm saying, just seeing what I'm doing. You can be able to create your pattern for yourself. Okay, so let me know if you're able to do it, because I know that you can. You're the only one restricting yourself from doing it. Okay, so stop it, stop doubting yourself, just follow the process accordingly, and trust me. I keep saying trust me, but really trust me, you're going to be having a simple pattern that you can use to create any crop top or any kind of top, free simple top for yourself. And if you were able to do this particular process, follow this particular process to create a skirt pattern for yourself, let me know how it went. Okay, because it is the same process. Fold into two, place on a pattern, make sure that the where you have the edge meet on that fabric, make sure that place sits on the edge of your pattern paper, and then just trace, add your allowance, and you have your pattern. This is very easy. I don't know, it is very easy. Just let me know what you think. Okay, if you're able to follow the process and you're able to get your pattern, let me know. And now let us move into creating the sleeves. Now for the sleeves, you need to pay attention to what I did, because it was somehow tricky but still simple. So this is the pattern I'm going to be using again, a cardboard paper, and this is my top. What I will do now is place the sleeves, only the sleeve side, on my pattern, and I will make sure that the beginning of my sleeves here, this top here, sits on the top edge of my pattern like this, and then the rest of it sits like this. Just see the way I placed it. Okay, I don't really know how I can explain this to you, but you just need to place your sleeves on a pattern like this, making sure that the top of the sleeve sits on the top edge of your pattern, and then just trace the side, trace the armhole, like that is just it. Okay, so trace here, trace the bottom here where you have the armhole, the armpits, trace that bottom here. Okay, and make sure you're tracing from only where you have the seam joining your top to your sleeves, and then the top here, make a dot or a mark. And then what you need to do now is from that line, flip your top over. Okay, from the line where you have the seam connecting your top to your sleeves, flip it over like this. Okay, you can hold it before you flip, and make sure you have this curve, you know, the curve that is created on the armhole. Make sure that when you flip your top, you have this curve that always shows when you are creating your sleeves. I know you are not a tailor, I know you're a beginner, if I know you're a novice when it comes to sewing. See the way I folded this? I am just trying to get that particular curve that always happen when you know, when you are looking at your sleeves and your top. You see that seam? When you fold it, you always get this particular curves that comes out. Okay, that shape, trace it out. So I'm going to make a dot here, and then I'll follow that line, that seam, the seam I have connecting my top to my sleeves. I'm going to trace it. Okay, so I'm making sure that I'm seeing the seam and I'm tracing that seam. And once I am done tracing, I'm just going to take off my top, and then you're going to see what I was able to achieve with this process. This is it. I have half of my sleeves here, and you can see that this is the curve or the seam that connects the sleeves to the top. So I'm just going to extend my sleeve length to the length of the pattern. I'm just extending it straight down. I did not do anything extra, I just extend it straight down. And I'll go ahead and add half an inch allowance round the pattern. Okay, the sleeve pattern, I'm going to be adding half an inch allowance. 0.5 inch is half an inch. Now this is the end of this video. This is how I was able to get my pattern from an old clothes, and the next video that will be coming to you guys is the video where I used this pattern to create the top that I showed you guys from the beginning of this video. It was very easy for me to do, and the process is going to be coming to you the same way that it was easy to me. I'm going to make sure it comes to you that very easy. So let me know in the comment section if you were able to create your pattern. Let me know if you have any difficulty. And while you are down there on the comment section trying to let me know all these things, you can also drop a suggestion of what you want to see or what you are interested in watching, and I'm going to be taking that into consideration. Okay, so thank you for watching once more. I love you guys so much, and I'll be seeing you guys on my next video. Bye.